So I'll have to describe this for the audio listeners. It's called Hippos Create Colorful Paintings at the Zoo. And there is this red-haired, nice lady, and she is picking up canvases, like
I think I've met her.
Of canvases. And this, I don't know, young person on her standing to her right here is like smearing paint on the hippo's nose, on the tip of his nose, all over it with both of her hands. And then she's pressing the canvas against the hippo's nose to create these paintings. What is this, dude?
It looks like a chick I met at the bar one night.
Watch how she smears paint all over this thing's nose. Is this animal cruelty?
Yeah,
look at that.
probably.
I mean, I have so many things to say about this. I mean, for one, every painting is going to be identical, right? I mean, there it is.
Well, hopefully they're getting a lot of money for it.
They're all going to be identical, for one. And for two, this hippo is just like, oh my God, let me out of this cage. I will kill this woman.
Yeah, they're the most dangerous animal in Africa, aren't they?
They're aggressive, man. The males are aggressive.
Super aggressive. Yeah, they look so cute. Everybody thinks that they think of something out of a Disney movie. And
I just thought that was
mean beasts.
Very strange and sort of like we are so dominant over this animal that we can smear paint on your nose.
Cool. Put its face in a cage, smear paint all over it, just for trifling amusements that no one even really cares about.
Did you happen to catch this Joe Rogan / Michael Malice podcast? I didn't watch all of it.
I did.
Or listen to it. I couldn't really find too much to critique, but I wanted to mention it because this is a sort of ongoing topic on this channel. Michael Malice, that is.
Or placating really sensitive groups that feel like they're in a protected class. And then the other people that pile onto that also feel like this is a protected class. And they equate any jokes with hate. And this is where they're wrong. Like, I'm telling you that Dave Chappelle does not hate anyone or anything. But he's not that person. His jokes are just that. They're just jokes. And if you
see, I believe that. I agree with Rogan on that particular point. I don't think Chappelle's out to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Really pay attention to what he's saying, whether you agree with him or not in some of his jokes, like whether or not they're funny. Just really pay attention to the overall message. It is in no way transphobic. It's just not.
But this is a way for low-status people to try to compete with Dave and try to get on his level. Because if I'm some kind of rando journalist and I take down Dave Chappelle or Joe Rogan or somebody else, this elevates my status and my rank and takes...
This is the worst take I've ever heard from Michael Malice here. This is awful, bro. This is terrible. He's basically saying that trans people are bad for trying to clout chase Chappelle, basically. That's what he's basically saying.
No, he's talking about journalists that are writing these hit pieces against.
Well, sure.
That's my understanding. He's talking about journalists that are writing hit pieces against.
Well, he's
Dave
talking about
Chappelle
the Daily Beast and
Yeah, they're the low status people.
Well, the main articles are written by trans journalists on this.
Are they? I mean,
one of you looked at were.
Hey, okay, well, maybe they are, but either way, they're low status. They're just trying to make a name for themselves by being the one to.
What does every journalist? Like. I mean, every journalist writes about famous and people. That's sort of what their role is, to speak truth to power.
Yeah, but sure it is. But I think the attacks against Chappelle are in large part, pretty dishonest, and I think that's my understanding of what he was saying, is that they're throwing these dishonest attacks against the guy to try to get some clout for themselves, hoping that some of it sticks and they become the guy that took down Chappelle.
I disagree with that. I think Chappelle's refusal to accept trans women as women is a big issue. It's sort of the thing that is the big issue, right? This is the whole thing about the trans debate. If trans women are women, then they can use whatever restroom they want to in this type of thing. They don't have to worry about getting beat up. When they come out.
This is all definitional, then, isn't it?
People who refuse to accept trans women as women are basically saying that I don't support trans rights, is basically what they're saying.
I don't think that I couldn't disagree more. I mean, this is all just definitional about what you call a woman, really. And they are introducing a new definition, and it's caught on to some degree. But as these things tend to go, it just takes time.
How so?
For it to, what do you mean?
I mean, what definitional change is happening? The term woman?
Yeah, the term woman. So I looked this up for this particular. Woman refers to, what was it? Basically, it refers to a person or being having to do with female, and I looked up what does female mean. Female is someone that it has female sex organs and produces, it's more specifically defined scientifically, as somebody the size of the gamete that they produce.
Right.
So you have sexual creatures. One has a big gamete, which is the female. One has a small gamete, which is the male. And that's the definition. In common parlance, that's how I use it. You know,
in terms of sex, you're talking about sex, not gender.
No, in terms of male, female. When I talk about, a woman or a female.
What about women in terms of gender?
Hang on. 10 years ago, this would not have even been a thing. If you and I were talking, you and I have known each other for a long time. 15 years ago, when I wouldn't have to clarify what I meant if I said female. I said, hey, that female, oh, the dude over there in the dress? No, the woman over there at the bar sitting at the bar. It's a new definition. It hasn't completely caught on yet. And people are getting attacked because they haven't instantly accepted these new definitions. And
they're refusing to include a group of people in that definition. Trans women are not women is refusing to accept trans women as women. Because of what reason? For why? Why are they refusing to do that?
Because they don't meet the scientific definition of what a woman is.
Sure they do.
Because they are technically not, they do not produce the larger gamete. They are not what we think.
Right, but there's a difference between sex and gender.
Okay.
Women is a gender, too. It's not just a sex.
Not according
Particularly when we're talking about society and sort of social.
Not according to the definition and not according to what...
Don't you think that's a little pedantic?
No, I think what you're doing, I think the idea of sex and gender, 99.999% of the time when I refer to female, you know exactly what I mean. And I don't clarify that I'm talking about sex, gender, anything like that. 99.9999% of my time. All right. Only when these things like this come up.
So they shouldn't be allowed to use the female bathroom, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying.
It sounds like. I mean, why else would you refuse to change the definition? If you want to call it changing the definition, fine. But why? If it's beneficial for society, why wouldn't you just accept it?
It's not about because it is a trying to figure. I mean, we're trying to figure out. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to this is, and I don't understand. I know that this is a new thing. This has only really been an issue in the guy for 10 years tops.
Right, because historically, trans women just got the shit kicked out of them and committed suicide. I mean, we're trying to actually fix that, right?
Yeah,
by changing the definition, if you want to call it that.
I agree. Well, this thing, by definition, it's changing the definition. If that's not what the definition was, you're trying to add extra things to this definition.
We're trying to be inclusive.
You're trying to include new things, which is changing the definition.
Sure.
I'm saying these things in a society, they just take time. And we're making progress and not immediately jumping on and saying, okay, it's the definition that people are trotting out or trying to include things into, not immediately jumping on board and saying, yep, I'm all in, because if I'm not all in, then I'm a bigot. I don't think that's what that is. I think people are I don't know, it takes time. I mean, look at a lot of slur words. I mean, you used to be able to call, sure, I called you, I don't know if we can say it, but a faggot. I used to call you all my friends. That was a word that was
gay
used.
Was a term we used in the 90s, you know.
Yeah, of course. We all called each other that. All my friends.
You're
me,
gay, dude.
Everybody said gay. Everybody was gay. I mean, the definition's changed and the usage has changed over the past 15, 20 years. You know, it just takes time. And I don't think that my whole point is that if people haven't immediately jumped on board, and it is immediately, because this is very fast for this new terminology to take root in our society. People that don't immediately jump on board or are a little hesitant to just go all in with this stuff doesn't make them a bigot, doesn't make them a transphobe, anything like that. It just means that I don't know, I feel like they're
really into
not
definitions?
used to it yet.
In my opinion, it's just
they're really into using words like they use words 99.999%.
I'm sure that's what it is. I don't think it is. I think it's
okay.
It's it's deep seated sort of like if you were dating a girl and she came out as trans, would you beat the shit out of her type thing? That's the sort of environment in which they operate. And it feels to them, I'm sure, when you say trans women aren't women, that's what they think of. I'm sure.
Okay,
I'm guessing,
well,
I don't know.
I don't care how they feel. I care what's actually going on when the person's saying it. If I say X, if I call my friend a fag, and somebody overheard that and they feel like I'm using that as an attack against all gay people, I mean, they're just wrong. They're wrong. That's not how I'm using it. I'm just sometimes that's how Scott acts, and I gotta tell him,
gotta call
Scott,
him out.
this is how you're being.
It's the most accurate descriptor.
It is, and
you wanted to discuss the ivermectin thing some more with this Sam Cedar piece here. Okay,
that are pushing vaccines at work. He gets on Brett Weinstein and Pierre Corey, who are talking about ivermectin.
Right.
And The Intercept had an article, a couple weeks ago about how that organization basically made like millions of dollars.
Yeah, there's
prescribing ivermectin.
Yeah, there's a story.
Okay, yeah. So,
hacker.
Basically, obviously, the video is titled "Is Joe Rogan Complicit in the Ivermectin Grift?" This guy brings up this article by The Intercept.
Yeah, I had previously read this. This is a good article.
Yeah, about some online pharmacy
America's frontline
selling a lot of ivermectin.
Yeah.
My issue, kind of like with my issue last week, didn't really have anything to do with ivermectin per se. It had to do with just lying in the media, which is kind of like my big thing. I think you get into the foreign policy stuff a lot. I just media dishonesty is my big thing. So my big issue was this being labeled as grift. I just kind of think it's odd that.
You don't think that America's frontline doctors is a grift?
No, okay. So they were saying Joe Rogan, and I don't really know about Weinstein, are grifting. I don't listen to anything Weinstein says. I don't really keep up with it. I don't even watch articles about it. I kind of know what he's doing, and I think it's most bullshit, it seems like. But yeah, my issue is just all these people in general just calling this a grift. Also, no, I don't think that this pharmacy is. I don't think so that they're grifters. I mean, this is a pretty common thing. There's a lot of these pharmacies and online doctors like that are just real loose with any prescription. And if there's a big demand for one prescription or one particular drug, then that's what they're going to sell. It's the quickness with which people like Sam Cedar and these other outlets will just jump to the person as a grifter.
Yeah.
When I just don't think the evidence is there that that's what's going on. Like they're saying something that you don't like, and all of a sudden now they're making you feel like they're just saying that because they're making all sorts of money. And
you think
odd that people that are saying, hey, there's this generic drug that's maybe kind of helpful for this, that's cheap as hell, that's a grift. But touting an incredibly expensive vaccine that's not generically available is not a grift. So I don't think it is. I don't think touting the vaccine is.
Do you think media, sort of left media, is just left media, I assume you're referring to here, is too quick to call out everything as a grift, basically?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think they're. I've got a lot of issues with it, but yes, in general, that's one that I would take issue with. It's just such an easy go-to that it's hard to dismiss, and it kind of puts the other person on the back foot immediately. Then they're having to explain how they're not making money off this, and I think it's just lazy journalism. And Sam Cedar, I see him doing it quite a bit. I feel like. So.
Well, if you had followed their channel, they've covered Brett Weinstein a lot. He's been pushing the vaccine conspiracy stuff like a lot. That's his main thing sort of lately. And this American Frontline Doctors, I'll quote from the article here. AFLDS, America's Frontline Doctors, has been spreading highly politicized misinformation about COVID-19 since the summer of 2020 and refers its many followers to its telemedicine center partner, SpeakWithAnMD.com, which uses Cadence Health as a platform. So basically, they spread this misinformation about the vaccine and then sell ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine to like old people who are scared to get the vax. Basically,
yeah. Have you ever
Seems like
dealt
a
with
grift
any of
to me.
these? Ever dealt with any of those online doctors?
yeah, sure. When I got
Okay.
started my TRT, I basically did this, right? But I wasn't being fed political ads on Facebook
Okay.
prior to.
I've been to some. And I mean, I guess they are grift in a technical sense, but I don't think they're grifting for ivermectin. It's not something where they're necessarily trying to. I don't think Sam is portraying it. He's making it seem
Fairly.
like an ivermectin specific thing, and it's just not. They're just trying to make money, and they're putting out bullshit articles because they have access to these.
That's the
drugs,
definition of
and
a
that's
grift,
what they're trying to
man.
Yeah,
That's
but
the definition of a grift.
they are grifters in general. They're not ivermectin grifters. They're not out there just trying to push this in particular.
Okay, I see your point. You're probably right. I mean, you're looking at sort of the headline, right? Because they have to title the videos. For example, read some of Ben Shapiro's like titles, right?
I expect this from the right. I don't care when the right
Sure.
does it
There's
because I'm opposed to them anyways.
Right.
It bothers me way more, and I feel like I pointed out a lot more when the left does it because you need to be better. If I'm going to be on your team,
Fair criticism. This is
yeah.
sort of what Glenn Greenwald is always talking about. He's always criticizing the left for these sorts of things.
okay, yeah, and then later on, what was it 7 minutes? Basically, Sam Cedar just has to smugly explain to people, look, we've got the studies right here. I've been working on my Sam Cedar impression. Been watching a lot of them.
I can't do it. I haven't even tried it.
There provides a comprehensive look at the real-world incidence of various adverse events after both vaccination and infection with the coronavirus. Didn't break down the myocarditis risk by age or sex. The median age of people who developed the condition after vaccination was 25. 19 of the 21 cases were in males, the researchers reported. There you go.
So that's a 19-year-old hockey player. So unlike what Joe Rogan said, if you're healthy, I don't see why you would get it.
Yeah.
If you care about myocarditis, you get vaccinated.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is sort of what what I posted in the these studies, the sort of summation of these studies I posted in our Reddit thread.
Yeah.
I forgot to bring this up on the show. There was this issue of whether or not young males needed to get the vaccine, given that some percentage of them would develop myocarditis as a result of the vaccine. In fact, the myocarditis is fairly common and not particularly dangerous, and doctors are now recommending only one single shot of the vaccine to prevent this outcome. I'm now quoting from the most recent New York Times article on this. Quote, agency research has estimated that for every million vaccinated boys aged 12 to 17 in the U.S., the shots might cause a maximum of 70 myocarditis cases. But they would prevent 5,700 infections, 215 hospitalizations, and 2 deaths. Studies have also shown that the risk of heart problems after COVID-19 is much higher than after vaccination. Yeah, I shared the studies that pertain to ivermectin, the major studies. If I was going to go through, if you want to go through,
okay,
those,
yeah,
man.
no, yeah. I thought you had it maybe like as a separate segment. So,
Well, these are. Well, I just wanted to sort of give people an idea of what's going on with ivermectin. Yeah. So there are different types of studies. If you don't read this type of stuff, there are in vitro studies. These are basically done in a petri dish with like cells, and they test chemicals with cells. They are both ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, and there's quite a few things actually that are effective against SARS-CoV-2 in vitro, so in the petri dish. Mm-hmm. And then you do animal studies, then you do human studies, obviously. And there are, as far as single studies go, there is this Argentina study, and there is also this Bangladesh study that are pretty decent. But when it comes to this sort of thing, you really want to, look at meta-analysis studies, because meta-analysis studies take all of the available data and crunch the numbers and see what's going on, and they're usually way more accurate as a result.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one review here of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, and there's one meta-analysis that's sort of crunched the numbers. Basically, in conclusion, I read through all these. You can read through them if you want to, but basically the conclusion is ivermectin has been shown to shorten the duration of COVID-19 effects. in
Yeah,
patients with non-serious COVID. In patients with serious COVID, it has shown to be basically ineffective at really doing anything.
Yeah. So I read through the studies, the ones that you posted, and I think there's another one or two that I looked at. Sam, he goes through a number of studies and then concludes that ivermectin is not effective. And, yeah, and obviously it is. Obviously, the whole thing is, this is new.
Well,
and
they were talking about Joe Rogan in what he claimed, right? That was what you took issue with, I think.
No, well, and so this is another issue about what Joe was actually saying. Joe just mentioned that he was taking ivermectin. This whole thing got blown up because it got picked up by CNN. They wanted to kind of dogpile or horsepile maybe, horsepile on this one particular medication that he said he was taking. Or, I had another pun, something about CNN on their high horse, but anyway. A lot of horse puns tonight, people.
They lied.
Yeah.
They lied.
So, all Joe said was that he was taking it for his infection, and then he got over it pretty quick. Now, whether it's effective or not, Rogan's kind of timeline of how he was affected, where he felt like shit for a day, didn't feel great the next day, felt a little bit better, like 80% the day after that, and then was fine after that. It was exactly my timeline when I had COVID. And I don't think I took anything but ibuprofen. So, it could just be that maybe what he was taking didn't do anything. Maybe that's just a timeline for him. He's a relatively healthy individual. I'm a relatively healthy individual. A lot of people get over it. But it's when you watch this stuff, you think that Joe is out there saying, like, just take ivermectin and you won't get COVID, or, that's all people need to deal with stuff. And it was just one of a number of drugs he said that he had been prescribed when he had it. And
well, previously,
it's
this was
been
quite
made
a
into this
while
big
ago,
thing.
but quite a while ago he said that young men don't need to get the vaccine. That was the big thing everybody took issue with.
Yeah.
And this is sort of
that was another one, yeah.
In the framework of that, I think, is what they're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he'd also mentioned that, certain people, if you get natural immunity, and he brought up, for example, chicken pox. I don't know did you ever have chicken pox as a kid?
Yeah.
Okay. So, when I was a kid, my cousin got chicken pox. My mom took me and my sister over to my cousin's house to play with her and, just to get us chicken pox. And for young people like her and I, chicken pox is relatively harmless. It sucks for about a week. For older people, it's can be deadly. They haven't had it. And there's some evidence to show that, I think a good bit of evidence to show that that's how ivermectin is, or ivermectin. That's how COVID is for people. It's not the best, but hey, if you expose your kid to COVID, he's fine, feels like crap for a day, gets better, you put him on different pharmaceuticals, keep him out of school for a week or so. Is that the worst thing? And you're helping improve his, he's not going to be spreading it around, I guess, later. Would be the big part of it.
The problem is we're forcing teachers to teach these kids whether or not they're vaccinated, right? Like, they have to already get vaccinated for a bunch of other shit. Just make them get vaccinated so they don't kill the freaking teachers, man. That's not fair to the... All right. This was amazing. I thought you would appreciate this story.
Oh, yes, I did see this.
This is awesome, man. A sharp-eyed amateur diver discovered on the Mediterranean seabed a sword believed to have once belonged to a crusader dating back 900 years. Look at this sword, dude. Look at that, dude. That's awesome.
Dude,
it's like covered in seashells and like, what's that stuff called?
Barnacles or coral?
I don't know. Coral, yeah. It's like covered in coral and like clam shells and whatnot.
Yeah. Stuff like this absolutely fascinates me. And the great algorithm in the sky of Google knows this. Every time one of these stories like this comes up, I always get it. There's a lot of finds been going on in Norway recently, like Bronze Age finds of
really
Viking swords, stuff like that. Yeah. It's... I wish there was some history around here, like
this
real history.
Sell for millions and millions of dollars, I think. I guess probably go to a museum on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I know every country, they have different laws in regards to antiquities and stuff like this, and whether you can keep it or whether the state just takes it.
Guess we'll find out. I will try to follow this. This is super cool, man. This is like my dream.
You ever went looking for like arrowheads or anything like that?
Oh yeah, but you never find that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And I know you found arrowheads, haven't you, on your property?
Scott and I worked when we worked for the CBD company a couple of years ago. They had a farm out in Marion County, and I don't. There must have been a village there. You could walk around just in an average day after the fields have been tilled up. You could find 7-8 arrowheads. You could find 20, 30 different pieces, broken fragments of arrowheads. And there was 10 people out there finding this every day, day after day after day. It was insane. It was Scott put up
an archaeologist.
He took a photo of like what he'd found for a month and put it up on some Reddit page. And there's people on there like, I haven't found that in a lifetime of looking. It was unbelievable.
That should be
such a cool place.
That's a hell of a find, man. That many arrowheads in one location?
Over the summer, between Scott, myself, I barely found any. I didn't look as much as them. The other guys that were working there, it was easily 100 full arrowheads.
That's either a war, like a battleground, or like an armory or something, It had to have been.
I don't know. I feel like it was probably a village because it was like on this big hill that was overlooking this creek. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I don't, just speculation.
I'm doing this, doing this piece on Tecumseh, and this is sort of the area where he roamed in his early years.
Really?
Yeah, somebody should contact sort of somebody I don't know what university is into archaeology around here, but
I suggested that. I think everybody there was kind of interested in, their personal collections and not the historical significance of.
Arrowheads are pretty common, but there could be some better finds in there, though.
Yeah.
Like
arrowheads are common. The frequency, the number of arrowheads that were found in this 15-acre patch is just unreal, though. That's the point.
I thought this was interesting, this story. Charlie Kirk is sort of in the news lately after his big Ben Burgess debate, so I thought this would be it.
Thank God.
I just saw this on his channel, Charlie Kirk here. See if this seems political to you or what's going on with this.
He wore a wig to get into the women's dressing rooms at the Rent Them outlets and take pictures of girls there. Emily is back in the newsroom with details on this creepy crime.
A mock-up.
So the title is The Dangers of Liberalism. Biological man arrested and charged after doing this in women's restroom.
Police
and he was basically dressed as a woman. He's dressed as a woman, sort of. This freaking dude, man. I would whoop this kid so fast. He doesn't even look like a woman. He looks like a man with a fake-ass wig on. And they're in the women's restroom taking pictures, basically. What does this have to do with liberalism? Are you kidding me, bro?
I think this is...
Just assuming this is a trans person? This is obviously sort of alluding to trans issues.
Yeah. So this is what me and Charlie Kirk were worried about.
Nothing going on here. Don't worry.
Nothing. Don't worry. I'll ask you, because we were talking about this. How do you tell that person that they can't go in there?
Completely inconspicuous.
They ask you, they say, hey, yeah, this is how I identify, this is who I am.
If this was a real woman, you would still kick her out, because you can't just, this is creepy as hell, dude. I don't care who you are.
It's definitely creepy.
It's not even a trans person. It's just sort of shitting on trans people.
How do you know? How do you know?
I guess you're right. I guess it could be.
I mean, that's what I'm concerned about.
But it's not a trans story whatsoever, is what I'm saying.
Okay, but let's say that person walks in there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you write this law such that you can go in there and make a definitively say, yes, you're allowed in there, no, you're not. Yes, you are a woman, no, you are not a woman.
You just use whatever bathroom you want to. Or you get rid of gendered bathrooms.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Just get rid of them altogether. No, I just give everybody their own bathroom. Just have 30 bathrooms.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Single family bathrooms. I like that.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in nootropics, check out my website, MetaMaxPerformance.com. We have cutting-edge nootropics at low prices and free shipping for the time being. So check it out while supplies last, MetaMaxPerformance.com.
ShireHempFarms.com, your number one source for Delta 8 and CBD products, all grown and manufactured right here in Kentucky. Right now, podcast listeners can use the code ESPODWIN to get 20% off their order. Check us out. Appreciate your patronage. ShireHempFarms.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not done so. You can follow us on Reddit. We are active on there. And our homepage, you can find our contact information. Follow me on Twitter. Follow Tony on Facebook. Thank you very much. We'll get right back to the show here. So, new details coming out about the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse. Assassins involved in this assassination who are currently in Haitian jail are on the record as having flown to Bolivia during the attempted Bolivian coup of Evo Morales in 2020. This is details, even more details coming out about this. I'm not sure if you read this story, but it's pretty dark, dude.
No, I did not see this one.
Alejandro Rivera Garcia, also known as Colonel Mike, who is the gentleman in the middle here. Let's see if I can circle him. This guy right here. Colonel Mike, this guy. He is currently in Haitian custody for assassinating Jovenel Moïse. He was the head of this particular hit squad. He flew into Bolivia 2 days before the Bolivian election into the opposition airport, where all the opposition leaders sort of congregate, this one airport there in Bolivia. And they stayed at a hotel 2 blocks from the Bolivian capital on the day of the vote. Presumably to do the same sort of thing to Evo Morales. And there was an audio tape leaked of Joe Pereira, this ex-U.S. Special Forces guy. So Joe Pereira was conspiring with the former defense minister that was the defense minister under this fake, the coup government, basically, because they did sort of successfully pull this coup off for a little while. And the ex-defense minister was involved in the second coup attempt here, and he was caught on audio tape, and it was leaked to The Intercept with Joe Pereira.
Ok, eso es muy importante porque el alto mando militar ya está en conversaciones de apronte. ¿Y cuál es el tema? Yo quiero ser bien específico. La lucha, las Fuerzas Armadas bolivianas y la policía por milicias cubanas y venezolanas. Esa es la punta del hilo. Es lo que va a permitir que realmente Bolivia se levante nuevamente y no permita el gobierno de Arce. Esa es la realidad.
American ex-Special Forces and U.S. Army Administrator was the organizer of the coup, attempted coup. Anyway, whenever the audio tape was leaked, Evo Morales got into the emails of Joe Pereira, and he found all this information about these other assassins linked to the Jovenel Moïse assassination. 2 members of the Doral mercenary group out of Florida entered Bolivia during the coup attempt through the same opposition airport that Colonel Mike arrived at. This was the same mercenary group who carried out the execution of Jovenel Moïse. Here is Tony Intriago. This guy here is the head of the Doral mercenary group. He's responsible for this hit on Jovenel Moïse. It says Pereira in the leaked audio brags that he could get 10,000 mercenaries for this is audio about the attempted Bolivian coup. Pereira's emails indicated that he sought to hire more than 300 mercenaries, including a former Blackwater contractor and a shooter who had trained with the U.S. military. It's
so odd that this is even a thing. Like, if you'd have told me, there's some mercenaries down in Florida. I mean, Florida makes it slightly more possible, but I'm thinking like they're going to go buy mercenaries would be guys you'd pay to go beat up some dude that stole an ounce of meth, not to assassinate the leader of another country. It's just, I don't know. It's just such an odd thing to me that this is even real.
It's almost expected at this point, isn't it? It's like if a leftist sort of president gets elected down there. It's like, how long before the coup attempt?
But there's but private people hiring mercenary groups. Oh,
Who else would hire them? Who else would hire mercenaries? I guess the U.S. government maybe would hire
just
them. But
the idea that the idea that mercenaries exist is just really strange to me. But I don't know.
ex-special forces guys, man. What else are they going to do? To be like
guess.
private bodyguards, or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
A lot of these guys are Colombian nationals that trained with the Colombian, the narco guys that go down there and kill people for growing cocaine plants and stuff. It's pretty crazy, man. I guess Jovenel Moise was sort of posturing that maybe he was going to do some sort of left-wing thing, and it's sort of come out now that the elites, sort of the rich elites in Haiti, just had him killed, basically. Hired these mercenaries to have him killed. And it was the same mercenaries that was linked to the attempted assassination of Evo Morales. It's pretty brazen, though, don't you think? Just out of Florida? It's so brazen,
that's
dude.
Just astounding that this is going on, that this could happen, I guess.
Are you surprised that these guys are in jail? I am, kind of. The mercenaries?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that my idea, if there are mercenaries out there, that these are just the most elite of the elite, you know, these Blackwater guys that have all the ties to different governmental organizations. And I don't know, I guess these are just some dudes that some of them had military service, some of them not, and just didn't have a lot of care for their freedom or safety.
This one guy got messed up. Look at his head.
Yeah, let's see. The guy, to the right of Colonel Mike, he just looks like some dude. He does not look like a mercenary.
This guy does. Look at him. He's like, I will kill you, guy.
No, he looks like he's waiting outside a Home Depot to put somebody's roof on. And I've worked with a lot of Mexicans, and that's what they look like.
Yeah, true. I mean, you expect them to sort of disappear after the assassination, not to get locked up. I wonder, somebody had to have had the balls to arrest these guys, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's when the American C-130 comes by, and
man, that's why I'm surprised. I'm surprised they got arrested. Maybe things are finally changing, man. The coup of Morales didn't go through. He won way too much of the vote for a runoff, so it wasn't really feasible.
It's just astonishing that these things still go on. In 2021, people think that they can hire some Floridians to overthrow a government, and I guess, and they can, kind of. You know, it doesn't work all the time, but sometimes it does.
It's been working for a long time.
Yeah, it's been working for a long time from governments. The governments are behind it. The U.S. gets a group of people, gives them funding, supplies, intel, and plans a thing, and they just have some other group of, Bay of Pigs, for example.
Well, yeah,
those guys, it was all planned by the U.S. It was supplied. The U.S. was doing all logistics.
It wasn't the Senate. It was like intelligence people in the intelligence community, right? It wasn't like the president knew about that, but, you know.
Yeah, but they had a real organization behind them. You know, whether it was the CIA, parts of the military, it wasn't just a dude.
Yeah,
I guess that's what I'm getting at. You know, this is just a dude that decided to give some money to some people to go overthrow a South American government.
Well, if you were Evo Morales and this coup was exposed and these people, what would you do? What would you initiate some sort of crackdown? You have to sort of
Evo Morales, famous for chewing coca leaves. So yeah, I would be a paranoid mess. Sitting there, big wad of coca leaves in my mouth.
He's reading The Intercept one day.
Pupils this big around. Okay, we're gonna get my intelligence guys in here. We're gonna start cracking down. We're gonna start
Secret
arresting
police.
people, beating skulls. We got to get the Stasi up in here.
I had this discussion in the comments last week about Maduro, the successor to Chavez in Venezuela. And he's going down a sort of authoritarian road. He almost got ousted by the Senate, the Assembly, and he sort of went down this authoritarian road. And you have to have a little bit of sort of understanding of that. Yeah. Even though he's doing the shit way wrong, I do not agree with what he's doing, but it's sort of understandable to have that much paranoia, and it's just a shame what's happening in Venezuela, man.
You get to that point, you got all the paranoia.
If the fascists get voted in, do you let them just get in there? And it's not like the other side doesn't crack down either once they get in there, typically.
This is why I live in a cabin in the woods. One of the reasons I have hesitancy to take strong stances on any sort of action like this, because there's so many things going on behind the scenes, so many things that I'm not aware of as somebody just sitting here in Kentucky. Sure. That it's hard to kind of make a decision, make a pronouncement one way or another. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
What I would say is I don't think there's ever a situation where the frickin' U.S. government intelligence apparatus needs to get involved. Surely not. I mean, it's probably never going to be beneficial, is it? Certainly not in Venezuela, in my opinion. Not right now.
Yeah.
They're not going in there to promote democracy, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so
maybe to stop a genocide or something. You could sort of make an
see, that's the thing, though. I mean, these things are all black ops. It's hard for me to say. I don't know how many places where the CIA has been operating and they have prevented something terrible from happening. You know, we don't know about those things. We know about the big bad things that have happened that CIA is responsible for, but
you're being pretty generous to the CIA. For example, this week we have an article on JFK. I dug back into this some. This is, I don't know how much you've sort of kept up with this, but there are files relating to the JFK assassination that are getting close to being released. They're supposed to have been released under Trump. You know, let me read the article here. When President Trump faced the same decision 4 years ago, he delayed in the name of national security. While releasing thousands of files about the 1963 Kennedy assassination, Trump acquiesced to the demand of CIA Director Mike Pompeo to keep portions of thousands more secret until October 2021, and that's this month. So will Biden release the documents finally that he was supposed to release decades ago under Senate? They passed a law to make him release all this shit.
Yeah, I hope so. Have you ever talked to a JFK conspiracy nut?
I got into it somewhat, but it's been a few years.
Yeah, they're exhausting. And I hope all the documents get released, everything gets settled, and I don't have to deal with these people anymore.
Well, there's a potential that the intelligence agency assassinated a sitting U.S. president, dude.
It's all old. It's in the past. Let bygones be bygones.
It's not that old.
Look, we're all adults
CIA
here.
is still there. What is their purpose? So
it's interesting.
The conspiracy goes that Oswald was sent to kill Kennedy, and they were going to blame it on Castro so they could invade Cuba.
Yeah.
I want to play the Castro clip because I love this clip.
Los revolucionarios cubanos, nuestro deber internacionalista.
Listen to that rolled R.
Man. He gets into it, man.
Decimos y proclamamos
very charismatic.
Que con combatientes cubanos podrá contar el movimiento revolucionario en cualquier rincón de la tierra.
Dude, I'd follow him out into the jungle right now.
They wanted to kill him. Man, if they did that, if that's really what happened, dude.
It's just speculation, though, right? There's not really any evidence to support the idea that the CIA set up.
Maybe
Oswald.
Maybe they have all this information. It's just they release all these documents are redacted. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Let me
maybe there's evidence that it was the Canadians.
Simultaneously with Operations Northwoods, like the timing of it is very suspicious, dude.
Yeah.
Let me read a little bit of it here. The most sensitive JFK secrets involve U.S. operations against Cuba in 1963. Oswald was a public supporter of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee, or FPCC, a popular campus group which defended Fidel Castro's government from aggressive U.S. policies. Records declassified in the 1990s revealed that the CIA targeted the FPCC for disruption in September 1963. Within the records that have been partially released, propaganda sources, deception methods, and surveillance techniques are often redacted. One passage in a file on Operation Northwoods, a top-secret Pentagon operation that aimed to provoke a U.S. invasion of Cuba, is still off-limits to the public. Approved by the Joint Chiefs of Staff in May '63, the Northwoods plans envisioned a, quote, engineered provocation to replace Cuba's socialist government with a pro-American regime. Northwoods called for the, quote, most trusted covert personnel, end quote, to stage a spectacular crime on a U.S. target and arrange for the blame to fall on Castro so as to create a justification for U.S. intervention in Cuba. The Northwood plans were discovered by the Assassination Records Review Board in 1997. 2 paragraphs of the 200-page document remain classified in 2021. This is crazy. This Operations Northwood.
I've heard Rogan talk about it. He's terribly interested in all this stuff.
Phase 1, the Department of State will seek to place the United States in as broad a multilateral context as possible. That means to pretend like our friends are helping us do this. Part H, engage in all-out psychological warfare and propaganda, stressing the morality of the United States. Actions designed to assist the Cuban people throw off the bonds of our communist enslavement. Like, this is how they talk in this. This is Operation Northwoods, the, what's not redacted. Bro.
All sounds on the up and up to me.
Listen, an engineered provocation, and Northwoods called for the most covert personnel to stage a spectacular crime on a U.S. target. You think they would, the President of the United States, though, dude, that is...
I could imagine... At that level of government, you are coming up with I'm just speculating. You are coming up with contingencies for everything. You know, this was the whole. I guess it was part of this. They were thinking about flying basically a drone plane over and shooting it down as a provocation for war. I mean, I guess my point is like, how seriously are these things taken? Is this just? I mean, you're going to have contingencies. You're an organization like this. You're going to have contingencies for everything. You're going to be coming up with all sorts of wild ideas. Is this just some of those wild ideas that they wrote down, or is this like the serious main considerations that they're thinking about at the highest levels? Like,
you're saying, are they writing all kinds of crazy shit like this?
Yeah, well, I'm sure that they are coming up with all sorts of crazy contingencies and crazy plans for whatever they might try to do.
Sure.
And they're just put it away in a file. I'm sure they have crazy plans for invading Canada and how they could provoke a war and how they would deal with this stuff. But if it's not seriously considered, then it's just...
Here's my final word on this. If what Tony is saying is correct, then why wouldn't they just release the documents? Everything that's been released so far could still potentially indicate that Oswald assassinated JFK on direct orders from the CIA. If there was exculpatory evidence to counter that, then there would be no need to keep the files redacted.
It's just crazy shit that they're... It's just
we know for a fact that the U.S. was heavily involved, the CIA in particular was heavily involved in attempting to overthrow / we eventually did invade Cuba. We know for a fact that they did a lot of this.
Yeah, so Cuba is different because we have been hostile with them for over 50 years, but ultimately, I just don't know how seriously to take this type of stuff. Operation Northwoods.
We know from the documents that the CIA infiltrated the FPCC, this Cuban support, this campus group was infiltrated by the CIA while Oswald was in it and active.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have a lot of sort of things that line up. In particular, the timing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I mean, I see a lot of circumstantial evidence, but
why was Oswald assassinated right afterward? I mean, before he could be by this nightclub. I mean, this is pretty classic CIA, dude.
It's a good question. It could just be some guy wanting to be a hero too, which I mean.
Oh, you mean Jack Ruby was trying to be a hero?
Jack Ruby said he was just trying to be a hero. You know, he was upset that Kennedy was his guy, and he wasn't going to let this guy.
Hold on a second.
Let this guy get off scot-free.
Just look at this guy first of all, and that'll tell you all you need to know here. Look at this guy. You kidding me? Trying to be a hero. He's a nightclub owner. They had some dirt on him, some serious dirt, apparently.
Yeah, he definitely looks.
Dude, he doesn't give a fuck about who's the president.
Okay,
doesn't care about Kennedy.
That. I actually don't think I'd ever seen a picture of him, so I retract my statement. Yeah, he looks. He does not look like somebody that's trying to be a hero.
It's very suspicious, dude. The timing of it, just the timing of it is ridiculous. You know, materials still redacted. Who will hopefully this month will be declassified. Although the CIA's been blocking this forever.
Are they giving any justification as to why they're still blocking this stuff?
National security concerns.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Duh.
I shouldn't even ask.
Nothing incriminating. You don't worry about it. Materials still redacted include a secret observation method that the CIA used to spy on Oswald at the Soviet and Cuban embassies in Mexico City. What do you think about that? What do you think that could be? The secret method of observation. It had to have been inside the embassies. So maybe an operative, you think? Like the name of an operative?
Could just be some like, what do they call it? Like the listening devices, bugs. I don't know.
Gadget,
maybe the method for
gadget?
Some gadget. Maybe the method for planting the gadget. I mean, I could.
Oswald was a CIA plant. Maybe it was Oswald himself. Materials still redacted include CIA propaganda efforts that are supposed to be forbidden by CIA charter. So a lot of the propaganda efforts have been declassified, but the ones that are forbidden by the CIA charter are still redacted.
I don't like the idea that an organization like this is deciding for us what can and can't be seen. It's basically my point is, why does it matter that the CIA's wanting to keep this redacted? Why does that trump our right as the American public that are funding them and that are putting this government into power to have access to this information?
It's a problem.
It's a huge problem. I am for the idea that there is certain information that shouldn't be released to the public. I could make up scenarios in which, I'm sure we all could. We could make up scenarios in which, well, this information shouldn't be publicly available, should never be publicly available, or shouldn't be publicly available right now. But you gotta have a different group that does that. You can't have the organization like the CIA being able to keep their own files redacted, or our government files on their activities redacted in perpetuity.
Congress is supposed to supersede the executive branch, aren't they? They passed a law to get all this shit unredacted, and they're still not getting it.
Well, I guess
where's the checks and balances, man? Who's a check on the CIA?
Yeah. I'm sure the president or Congress could say, okay, we're going to release these files, but if they're just going to do what the CIA tells them to, then what's the point in having the check and balance?
They're outside. Yeah, they're outside of the framework of the government. They can do whatever the hell they want, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy. You're completely right about that. It's a problem. It's been a problem for a long time. And they get stuff. If stuff like this gets out, some of these things they did that they shouldn't have done, maybe people would start talking about disbanding the CIA. But probably the most powerful institution on the planet right now.
I feel like the two organizations in this world that just need to be leveled to the ground, and you got to start over. You got to completely start over. CIA and the Vatican, just hands down. Just everybody, you all got to go. We're getting rid of the name. Just everything's getting released to the public. These organizations can exist that have this similar function. We need an intelligence agency, but you guys fucked up too much.
Make the Pope a delegate.
Yeah, something.
Still redacted, the Amlash file that details assassination attempts of Castro planned for the same day that JFK was assassinated. Still redacted. And information about Miami newspaper publishers that were involved in spreading CIA propaganda are still. So this is a black fellow who was assassinated by these two white gentlemen.
Question. It's 1:08 p.m. and Arbery is walking around inside. 4 minutes after he entered, he walks out and runs off.
So this is an abandoned house here. There's video footage. He's been sort of messing around in this house before, but nothing's ever been stolen or sort of messed with.
He's running right now. There he goes right now. Okay, what is he doing?
There it goes right now.
Running down the street.
In the top corner of the security footage, we can see down the street to 230 Statilla, the home of Travis McMichael. At 1:10 p.m., Travis and his father, Gregory, grab their guns, jump in a white truck, and leave the house to pursue Mr. Arbery. We don't have footage showing the next 3 minutes, but testimony Gregory McMichael gave police at the scene, and interviews by another witness, Rod.
So basically, I'll sort of describe it. This guy, this sort of grifter guy, this black kid, wanders through this house. He's done it before, and these white guys that sort of live down the street noticed him and started, basically, they chased him down the street with his pickup truck. And I'll play a little bit of it here, but I can't show obviously the part where they killed the guy.
Gregory
So he runs past the pickup truck.
Michael dials 911 at this time.
911, what's the address of emergency? I'm out here.
Okay, there he is. Like I said, he's never messed with anything in the house. He's probably in there either shooting up or jerking off or something, you know.
As
Stays
one
in there
does.
Sure. Okay, he shoots him twice here with the shotgun. Yeah, just.
So he gets out.
They're
What
already
was
parked. They're already parked down the street, and he runs past them. And
The guy jumps out.
Mm-hmm. They're both.
I
They both
bet-
have guns. See, look.
Yeah,
he runs past.
I remember
he's-
this. Okay, I remember this story when it happened. I really haven't kept up with it since then. So yeah, he runs past. Was there words?
Ahmaud Arbery is surrounded here. The person filming in the car behind him is chasing Ahmaud towards the pickup. As Ahmaud Arbery runs around towards the front of the truck, the first shot is fired, hitting him in the chest. At this time, he closes the distance with the gentleman holding the shotgun, and they get into a struggle where he is shot 2 more times.
I don't know exactly what happens here, but, you know, he gets shot multiple times here. It's fucked up. I don't want to watch the whole thing.
Jesus.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
But this guy had never done nothing wrong. I mean, sure, trespassing, but you can't murder somebody for trespassing. The reason this is in the news because they're doing jury selection. This is in Glenn County, Georgia, and they're finding it very difficult to find people, obviously, who haven't seen this footage and aren't aware of this and biased towards it. You know,
I don't know.
Who knows if they
it's
will?
It's disgusting beyond belief. It should. These guys were just looking for trouble. You know,
they had the rebel flag vanity plate on the truck and stuff. It's like
whether Arbery was in their cause, and I would. You know, I live on a kind of smaller community. You know, if there's no abandoned houses around, but if there were one, I would probably know who owned it, who did own it, and you know, I keep a watch on my neighbor's house, just like I hope that they keep a watch on mine, and pursue the guy, drive after him, you know, keep up with him, try to get a good description of him. You don't need to confront him if he's not being dangerous. If it's just a property crime. If you feel like you need to do that, if you feel like you need to make sure this guy gets caught, then do it. But don't put yourself in a situation where this could happen. It's just disgusting. And this is racially motivated. These guys they knew what they were trying to do. If it was a white guy, I tend to not go. Obviously, I tend to not jump to the racism charge too often. But man, this one it's pretty damn obvious. If this guy. Yeah.
Well, this is kind of why I wanted to get your take on it, because this seems super obvious to me, but you have a different point of view on this. I know, like, out where you live, a lot of times these houses under construction will get vandalized, and they'll sort of rip the copper wires out of the walls and stuff.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
You know, you would see the guy running away with if he was committing some sort of crime, you would, you know, But just running away from the scene, and they knew about this kid already. They knew he'd been in there. They have cameras inside the house, and he hadn't damaged any property or stolen anything.
It doesn't matter if he was running.
Just some crackhead, dude.
There was a house. There was a house up the road, just a new construction house, and somebody broke in there and stole a bunch of tools from the guys that were working on it. They were building the place, and I mean, me as a concerned neighbor, if I seen somebody running out with a miter saw, I might follow them. I'd definitely call somebody to let them know, but just keep your distance, man. If the dude's on foot, you're in a vehicle, just keep your distance. Say, hey, this is where I'm at to the cops. If you feel like that's what you need to do, then. But they were looking for confrontation. They were hoping that this was going to happen. You got a dude in the back of a pickup truck with a shotgun. Come on.
Well, he had a pistol. The guy driving had the shotgun.
Okay, you're in the back of the truck with a firearm. You're living out some 1940s lynch fantasy.
Man.
It's so obvious. So I hope these guys burn.
If you were on the jury, what would you do?
Yeah, you're
murder trial. Murder. You're talking capital murder.
Yeah, premeditated
or manslaughter, sort of.
Premeditated. No, I think at least second degree. I think they knew when they got in that truck and grabbed their guns. I think they were hoping that something was going to happen, hoping they were going to have some justification to use those guns.
I don't understand. I'm trying to look from their point of view. What did they think he was? What did they think he was doing that was wrong? I mean, I know trespassing, but I mean, geez.
Maybe he was. Maybe he was going in there stealing stuff. Maybe he was going in there and vandalizing
they say
stuff.
In the article they have all the footage. He's never stolen anything or damaged any property in that house.
But these guys didn't know that.
No, I think they did. They're down the street from this house. I thought.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you're right, and they weren't aware of that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody might have known, but
this used to scare the shit. When when in my younger days, I would walk around with a pistol. It used to scare the shit out of me to potentially be in a situation where I would have to shoot somebody. Man, that's what used to always scare me. I never wanted to be in that position, and it sort of did happen to me one time. I didn't shoot the people, but I took an ass whooping instead.
I was telling somebody that story. I don't know how it got brought up, but I was telling somebody that story just the other day about the guys that come across the street after you.
Oh yeah, they jumped me. Yeah. I let them jump me instead of shooting them. The cop said I could have shot him and killed him and been in the right, but I'd rather take an ass whooping than kill somebody, dude.
Yeah. Speaking of which, actually, I just got the call today. I am no longer a felon, so now I can start driving around with guns and shooting people with impunity. But also,
don't fuck with Tony.
Don't fuck with me, dude. I'm legit now. I can carry the guns that I didn't have around. Also, shout out to Doug Matthews. That was my mom's husband. He died the other day. He was actually a listener to the podcast. Didn't listen to all of them, but he listened to a couple. Didn't tend to agree. He was more along the Mark Levin line of thinking, but he's a good dude. All the boxes for the guy that marries your husband, good guy. He checked all those boxes. So sucks.
Sorry for your loss.
Best wishes to his family. Hope everything goes well.
Yep. I don't know if you saw Stephen Lawrence just died too the other day. I'm not sure if you saw that.
Stephen Lawrence.
Yeah.
Who is that? I know that name.
A gentleman you fought with before.
Oh.
My sister's first
really?
baby daddy. Yeah.
Really? What happened to him?
They said he committed suicide.
Oh shit.
I guess over a girl, presumably.
Huh.
Yeah. Sad week, man.
Huh. Yeah, that's a shame. I hate that for your sister. And the kid, obviously. That's
Caleb.
Not good, but
all right, man. Well, we'll talk to you next
anyways, MetaMaxPerformance.com, ShireHempFarms.com. Come check us out. James, peace.
Later.